All right, welcome to Uffsides, the greatest and best NFL show on the internet or TV, any sort of media whatsoever. My guest today, the lovely and talented Anita Marks. You know her.
Blushing.
She is on the New York Giants broadcast team. She also is on NBC Sports Radio. You can catch her there Saturdays and Sundays. Welcome.
Thank you.
The last time you were on, you're welcome back to the show.
I know.
I love saying
this
that.
This is great.
Welcome back.
Hopefully this is just the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, we had you on last fall, of course,
right.
during the season. And I said, when it's time to talk fantasy football, we'll have you back on.
Great.
And it's time to talk fantasy football.
Oh, yes, it is.
Entire show. Entire show fantasy-centric.
I love it.
I know. It came up on the calendar. Usually before I was tagged as like resident fantasy football guy at SB Nation, I would always put off like, oh, crap, it's August 31st. I'm going to rank 1 to 150. Now it's like July hits the calendar, and I'm like, oh, it's time to talk fantasy, and it's great. I love it.
And I feel like each and every year there's more and more people who are participating. There's more and more people who don't feel like you're this absolute like geek nerd. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing for, I don't want to date myself. I've been playing for a long time. And I could just remember a lot of my friends' comments, like, why do you do that? Like, it's so nerdy. It's so geek. And I said, no, just wait. You're going to get addicted. You're going to get hooked. And sure enough, don't you feel like more and more of your friends play? They like text you or call you for information. They want They want you to help you with their draft. I'm going to start charging.
One of our editors for The Verge is a former intern at Vox Media. She's like 23, looks like she's like 16. And Regina, and she like...
That's gotta stink.
She got into it hardcore last year.
Right.
Like studied
and it was
everybody.
Her first year?
First year, and she was like, I'm confident Matt Ryan's going to have the breakout year, like just like dug all the way in.
Okay, I'm going to give a shout out, though, for the ladies. Because I tend to find that women who start playing fantasy football, they put the extra effort in research. It's like they take it more serious. Like guys just like walk in with like some magazine that was printed out like 3 months before the season even began. They sit there and they drink their beer and eat their wings, where the girls are like, they've scoured like every website. They have all the information. They're like really serious about it.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever had a draft with a bunch of chicks?
Last year actually,
okay.
we had an SB Nation / Vox Media one for the studio, and
chicks were serious, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Any like stereotypical male who underestimates a woman in his league does so at his own peril, because
I love it.
I've seen that they know what they're doing.
Here's to the ladies playing fantasy.
Clank.
Okay.
So let's talk about. One of the things I want to do is have like just a. Talk about our top players first round.
I got my cheat sheet.
Hit me up. Who are your? Let's say we've got a 12-team league and no PPR.
Okay.
Who are your top guys?
Okay. Well, I don't think that there's a disagreement here. I think going in, Adrian Peterson, hands down, number
Consensus.
one. Right? Overall.
Consensus, because he's...
And when was the last time, I can't remember, maybe the past 3 or 4 years, that we've gone into a season with a legitimate number one where there's no question marks. Like last year, I think you were kind of like Adrian Peterson because he was coming off of ACL and Arian Foster and there was some question. Maybe you were going to take a quarterback.
Yeah, last year it was like the big three. It was like Lesean McCoy, Arian Foster, and... Ray Rice. We're like, if you got any of those three, then you were like, okay.
And some people went with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Some people. Yeah. I mean, there were some question marks. You just didn't know who you were going to. This year, it's like legitimate number one, Adrian Peterson, done.
We haven't seen a draft stocked with running backs, quality, excellent running backs like this since really before running back by commission became a thing.
Absolutely.
I think.
Okay, so number one, Adrian Peterson.
Sure.
Number two, who do you have?
My number two, I have Adrian Peterson as well. My number two is Jamaal Charles.
What?
Yeah. No.
What?
I know that like people are big on Arian Foster. He had more yards than Arian Foster last year, highest yards per carry in the league for the last couple of years. The only reason he hasn't been made a bigger deal is because he hasn't been able to get in the end zone because the Chiefs have sucked.
Really?
And I think Andy Reid's gonna. Andy Reid
you trust. That West Coast offense you trust. Alex Smith you trust.
I don't want to say I
trust
them.
They're going to make the difference for Jamaal Charles?
I'm saying I don't want to say that I trust those guys. I want to say that they're a huge step up from Matt Castle and Romeo Crennel.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. But to me, that's a huge reach. I don't think anyone is going to.
Oh no. I'm not like predicting.
Okay.
These are. I'm not predicting how things will go. This is just like I'm guessing on who will actually have the best seasons here. So
Okay.
I think that he'll be available at 5 or 6.
Yes, absolutely.
But for me, he's the number 2 guy.
My number 2 is Arian Foster,
Yeah.
Texans running back. Even though the past few years his yards per carry has diminished, 4.9, 4.4, 4.1.
I'd be worried.
He's 26 years old. You do have Ben Tate back there. You kind of worry that maybe heading into the season the Texans might kind of give Ben Tate a little bit more carries. But I still think
He's still going to get you the numbers.
Yeah.
He's still going to have a good year.
To me, he's still the number 2, and then my number 3 is Ray Rice.
Yeah. Ray Rice, I think, is great for PPR leagues. I would be seriously concerned about the way that Bernard Pierce has come on for the Ravens.
That's fair.
And I've
Didn't he
dropped
just
him.
get into some trouble?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't want to. Yes, probably. He's guilty and arrested and all
Okay.
sorts of things. Ray Rice, I have him. If it was just me, if I was drafting in a league of me's, he's outside my top 10 actually.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm that concerned about
Aren't
Bernard
you with the
Pierce.
surprises today? Jamaal
Yeah.
Charles, number 2. Ray Rice, not in your top 10?
If it's a PPR, it's a totally different story. I think he's still
course.
going to be catching a lot of
Yeah.
passes. Still a great back. There are guys I'd rather have. I'd rather have Doug Martin. I'd rather have Lesean McCoy, Alfred Morris, Marshawn Lynch. Who have you got next?
Okay, yeah, Marshawn Lynch is my number 4, and to be honest with you, I'm on the fence right now. I might even move him up to my top 3 above Ray Rice, just because I love the beast mode factor. I love that Pete Carroll's come out and has said,
We're a run-first team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that we've brought on Percy Harvin. It's Russell Wilson's second year. Maybe he gives him a little bit more kind of leeway to kind of be the Russell Wilson that I don't even think we've even seen him with his ceiling. I think he's going to be phenomenal. But I love that Pete Carroll's committed to the run. I think Marshawn Lynch is going to have an unbelievable year. I might even right now on the show. I'll do it right now. I might put him up above Ray Rice. How's that?
Really? I like it. I like it.
I talked myself into it.
I've got him above Ray Rice, but like lower than LeSean McCoy, lower than Doug Martin, lower than C.J. Spiller even because. And now this is also my my reverse homerism. I'm a huge Seahawks fan, so
Okay.
I fear the worst for everybody. But with his history of
Negative Nelly over there.
yeah,
What's up?
With his history of back trouble, I think that Pete Carroll's going to try to save him as much for the postseason. And I think that you're going to see.
Look at you. You're already counting them in to the postseason.
Well,
I love it.
We'll see. But I just like I think that it's sort of thing. He's got Robert Turbin, who's played very well in spot duty last year, and I think he's going to get a lot more carries. I think Christian Michael too, the rookie out of Texas A&M, is also going to get a fair amount of carries. Again, Seahawks fan worried about Marshawn Lynch's health. That's what I see happening in my mind. I could be wrong. I may very well be, but that's my brain
really,
operates.
Not a fan, but really like the team, and I love Russell Wilson. Had a chance to meet him in New Orleans during the Super Bowl. Him and his lovely wife.
Nice guy.
Just a really nice guy, and I'm excited to see what Percy Harvin can do in that offense. That's another thing. You bring Percy Harvin to that offense. You need defenses. They're gonna have to play honest. They're not going to be able to stuck 9 in a box against Marshawn Lynch. It's going to open up things for him even further. So I'm really excited about Marshawn Lynch.
Oh man.
I'm
so not
Look
used
at the smile on your face.
I'm not used
Good thing I
to
came in today.
a Seahawks team that's actually
Good?
good and B, fun to watch on top of that.
Right.
Okay, so after Lynch, who have you got?
I got
Are we at number 4 now?
I got the muscle hamster.
Muscle Hamster at 4?
Yes, I like him. This is the big thing. Josh Freeman, if you're listening, you need to step it up this year. You need to.
He was surprisingly good.
What?
He was better than I expected last year.
They were thinking about possibly bringing in another quarterback, drafting it for a competition this year. I mean, this is the year that Josh Freeman has to step up and deliver. And if he does, again, keep in mind, running backs are great, but when they're in a system, and I know we're going to get to Alfred Morris. He's a perfect example. You talk about running backs who play in a system where Adrian Peterson is the only running back that I know that I'll draft, that I know that defenses are going to put 9 in a box, and I'm still going to play him because it doesn't matter.
He got better after Percy Harvin got hurt last year.
So
makes no sense.
It doesn't. So I think Doug Martin needs Josh Freeman to kind of step it up a little bit so that defenses, again, well, I'll probably use this phrase at least 15 times during the course of the show, but that is defenses play honest and they're not stacking the box. And I think he's going to have a monster year. So he's my number 5. Where does he come in for you?
He's my number 4 after Arian Foster.
Okay.
Who's your 5, 6. Where are we at? 6.
Okay, 6. C.J. Spiller. Love C.J. Spiller. If Fred Jackson was not in that backfield.
Oh, Fred Jackson, stop stealing carries.
He does. He's a TD vulture.
Oh, C.J. Spiller is
Crush him.
so clearly the more talented running back.
Right?
And it just bothers me. Like C.J. Spiller should be getting 20 to 25 touches a game.
And I love C.J. Spiller. And we were talking about PPR, the difference of PPR. I love C.J. Spiller in PPR because he's utilized in the passing game. Interesting to see who that quarterback is going to be. Is it going to be E.J. Manuel? Is he going to win it out?
From what I've seen, like people are really impressed with E.J. Manuel. Everyone who's met him, seen what he's doing. Apparently, he's got real NFL talent. We'll see.
So he's up there for you as well.
He had 43 catches for 459 yards last year.
Your man crush.
Stats.
I love it. Your man crush on Jamaal Charles. He's sitting at my 7.
Okay. I think he's great value there. Again, I just have him at 2 personally. That's where I think he's going to end up at the end of the year. But absolutely, I think at 7, he's a great value.
Let me just say this. I mean, a lot of these guys, we're talking about a number of running backs. It's really going to be hit or miss. It's who you feel. A lot of times I feel like people take cheat sheets and they walk into drafts and they follow the cheat sheet. You know what? A lot of times, follow your heart. Do your own research.
Yeah.
For example, I have Arian Foster 2 and Ray Rice 3, but you might be listening to the show and his love affair for the Seattle Seahawks, my love affair for Marshawn Lynch, you might move him up. Like, go with your heart sometimes. Yeah. And if you do like Jamaal Charles, like Matt does, then you know what? Maybe trade that draft pick down.
Yeah.
I love leagues that do that, by the way, where, like, for example,
trade down.
If I have a number 2 pick or number 3 pick, and let's say I'm like you and I really covet Jamaal Charles, I'll try to trade that draft pick down.
Yeah.
So kind of have an idea of where these guys are going to go.
Everyone we're talking the top 8, these top 8 running backs on my list, I would be happy with any of them.
Exactly.
So I would not want. Well, I would not want like the third pick. Doesn't do anything for me.
My 8 is Trent Richardson, and I think yes, I think he's phenomenal. My only problem is I'm interested to see what Cleveland's going to bring to the table this year because again, we talk about stacking the box. They stack the box. Now Trent Richardson, he's got such great talent that I think he can go against the defenses and perform well. But I'm worried about health. His ankle. He broke his ribs in week 6.
Yeah.
So
he's tough as nails. He's a great runner. He's not in my first.
He's so much fun to watch.
He's not in my first round, my first 12 because 3.6 yards per carry last season, a couple no-shows, weak games, and I just don't like what bothers me most is I don't like that Browns offense. I'm not. Well,
it's going to change this year.
It's true.
I'm curious how it's going to change and what they're going to bring to the table.
I don't have a whole lot of faith in Brandon Weeden and is it Josh Gordon?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean that's not enough of a passing attack
for
me.
And don't forget Greg Little's there. I'm a huge Greg Little fan. Greg Little finds a quarterback. Watch out. That kid is unbelievable. It's unfortunate.
He needs to learn how to catch a ball.
He's like
Mr. Dropsy.
He's like hidden in Cleveland.
I'm not a big Greg Little fan.
Okay.
I've got what pick do you just have?
I have Trent Richardson at 8. I have Lesean McCoy at 9.
I've got Lesean McCoy at 6 overall.
Okay.
I think that here's my hot take. He was 840 yards in just 12 games last year. Kind of a downer season for the entire Eagles team, and I think. The addition of Chip Kelly.
Oh yeah.
He's also only 24. He turns 25 right before the season starts. I think next week actually, and so he's still young. And I think that you're going to see both Lesean McCoy and Bryce Brown put up excellent numbers.
I was just going to say you're not worried about Bryce Brown. Bryce Brown impressed a lot of folks last year.
I think they're both going to get great fantasy numbers because Chip Kelly at Oregon ran the ball 39 times a game.
I'm putting you on the hot seat. If you do draft Lesean McCoy in the first round, since you have him high up there, do you look for Bryce Brown in what round to try to handcuff?
Absolutely, I do. I would probably wait until I've filled out the rest of my starters. I'd probably look for him in 5 or so, 5 to 6. Probably 6, because I want to fill out my quarterback, my other 2 wide receivers, running backs, etc.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely I'm looking for Bryce Brown as well if I get McCoy. Excellent. Good times. I also have Alfred Morse as my 7.
Yes. I have him as my 10.
I just think that 1,600 yards and 13 touchdowns last year.
And again, we've been talking about that spread offense, okay? You spread the field, which the Washington Redskins do extremely well. Mm-hmm. RG3 is phenomenal. Don't tell the Giants. I'm a huge RG3 fan.
Huge.
Huge. My concern is his health, and is that offense going to change? Everything I'm hearing out of Washington, D.C. is that it's not. But how can it not? You've got to be so concerned about this young man's health moving forward. And the reason that Alfred Morris, this is a 6th round pick from Florida Atlantic University. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, his success was because of the offense that they ran and because so many teams had to play a special defense against RG3.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so that's the only reason why Alfred is at 10 for me.
Fair enough. In retrospect, I probably have him too high.
Okay.
But no, I do think that right now I'm a pretty conservative fantasy football player. I am right now. My feeling is that I'm anticipating RG3 to miss the first month of the season.
Really?
I know that
he's superhuman. He's like sleeping in oxygen tanks and eating nothing but organic food, and he's.
An ACL tear takes like 9 to 12 months to heal and recover from.
Have you heard of Adrian Peterson?
And it's true. And
come on. That was amazing what he was able to do last year.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson is a superhuman.
And that was like 8 months after.
And Robert Griffin III also is superhuman, but he's also had ACL tears before. And I think that despite what the Redskins organization might want to do, I think that right now as a fantasy football player, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not drafting RG3 because I think he's going to miss the first month of the season.
Okay.
That's just my guess. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I'm not. I wouldn't have high expectations. Even if he's playing, I wouldn't have high expectations for that first month.
That's fair.
Let's finish up the first round. We're running out of running backs.
11. We are running out of running backs. 11 is Calvin Johnson.
Yep.
I think he's unbelievable. Found out this stat prepping for the show yesterday. Get this: Calvin Johnson was tackled on the 1 yard line 6 times.
Lions.
Could you imagine on the 1 yard line 6 times last year? That's 6 potential touchdowns that were taken away.
He didn't want it bad enough. That's his problem. That's why I'm going to avoid Calvin Johnson.
Are you really?
No.
Stop.
I've got him.
Especially in PPR. Look, I have him at 11 in PPR. Bump that bad baby up.
I've got him actually 9th overall. So and then I've got Brandon Marshall right behind him at 10.
Okay. Wow.
Just because he got 118 passes last year, you were saying targeted
188 times.
Yeah.
Your man crush on Jamaal Charles is Jay Cutler's man crush on Brandon Marshall. Yeah. It's one and the same. 188 targets.
Let's finish up our first round here, and then we'll talk some more.
12. I'm on the fence with 3 guys, and that's Stephen Ridley, Steven Jackson, and Matt Forte.
Really?
Yeah. I'm probably leaning more towards Steven Jackson. Everything that I'm hearing out of Atlanta and the way that they want to utilize him in that offense.
Isn't he 37 now?
Especially in PPR. Because from what I understand, they love the screen, and they're going to utilize him a lot on screenplays, which is going to be huge for him. So, and he's got great hands.
Is he 30 this year?
Is he
29 or 30?
I don't know.
Anyway, I feel like he's been in the NFL for so long
he
now
has.
that he
was in the NFL with Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, marinate in that for a minute.
He is 42 years old. Let's talk about, we've kind of talked about our top 5 running backs already. Let's talk about top 5 at other positions.
Okay.
Who are your top 5 wideouts?
I just want to make a point here before we move on, and that is for the first time in a while.
Oh, yes.
First time for a while. I mean, we're talking about like predominant running backs going in the first round. Like we didn't talk about one quarterback. You nor I had one quarterback in our top 12.
And this is the first time that's happened in 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
Or more. Like for ever since I've been playing, like someone has always taken Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers in the first round.
And I participated in
Tom Brady, Drew Brees, like those guys were first rounders a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and not even whiff of a mention.
Don't judge me, but I participated in a mock draft last night.
No, I'm not judging.
Yes, already. I know. What are we? We're still in what? Just the start of July.
It's July. It's good.
And
training camp starts this month.
Not one quarterback went in the first round. Just throwing that out there. So
some great running backs.
We're
great wide receivers.
on top of it.
Yeah. I would say, who's the earliest? Who's your number 1 quarterback, and what's the earliest you would take him?
Okay, quarterbacks. We're listing our 5. Aaron Rodgers is my number 1.
Okay, and for me as well.
And I'd want to get him on the second round.
Yeah, I would.
Especially leagues. Keep in mind, this is important. Pay attention to what your scoring is.
Yep.
Sometimes scoring leagues, you only get 4 points for touchdowns.
I prefer that 4 or 4.5 points for touchdowns.
But sometimes you get 6.
That's crazy talk.
So
I hate those leagues.
So especially those that get 6, then maybe that's when you want to consider an Aaron Rodgers in the first round. But typically you get 4 points for a touchdown.
Yeah. Who's you number 2? Brees.
Drew Brees. He gets Sean Payton back. I think this is the year Drew Brees wants to kind of get the Saints kind of back on track. And I think he does it. I'm a huge Drew Brees fan. I think he's great.
Yeah, he just puts up 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns every year. Pretty
Number
nice.
3 is Peyton Manning for me. Number 4 is Cam Newton. And I'm on the fence right now with Tom Brady and Matt Ryan. And the reason being, and we've all been following the story, what's going on with the New England Patriots. And you've got Aaron Hernandez, who's now in jail, Rob Gronkowski, who's injured. He loses Wes Welker. Granted, he gets Danny Amendola, but nonetheless, I think this is going to be a really difficult year for Tom Brady in that offense.
Yeah, I think he's fallen. I was looking at some user stats, and he's fallen to about, I think 54th overall, 55th overall. Wow, Tom Brady in the 5th round. I mean, that's just something that hasn't happened in recent years. I've got the same top 2, Rodgers and Brees. Cam Newton's my number 3.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Another man crush.
Bold.
You're not worried. He's hot and cold.
Yeah,
he's kind of, it's all about me. It's not. It's a team effort.
I'm not worried about what he says.
Team doesn't really like him.
He, again, if he doesn't do it through the air, and he does do it through the air, 4,300 yards passing, I think, last year. Plus, you get those extra, the rushing yards, the rushing touchdowns. So nice to get out of quarterback.
I think he's either going to be like an absolute monster beast, fantastic pick, great quarterback, or he's going to be kind of just average.
He was the only reason, I think, RG3 was the number 1 fantasy quarterback last year. Cam Newton, number 2, I think. Depending on your league scorings.
Right.
The scoring settings, But for me, that gives him the extra rushing yards. I love that. So he's my number 3.
Okay.
Manning's 4. Matt Ryan's 5 for me.
Okay. So Tom Brady's not even in your top 5.
Nah, he's 6.
Okay.
And I think that as he falls,
don't worry, Tom. You're 6.
I think Tom's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about him.
Got a new contract.
I think that he's going to end up being a value pick. People are going to be like, oh, I got Tom Brady. Bummer.
Married to a supermodel.
Yeah, no, he's
fine.
He's still going to be
He
great
won't be hurt
too.
with the fact that he's not on our top 5.
Yeah. Who are your top 5 wide receivers?
Top 5 wide receivers, Megatron, Calvin Johnson, love him. In fact, as we just said, he's in my top 12. AJ Green, I think this is going to be the year for Andy Dalton. I think this is the year that he's going to have to turn it on, and he's got a lot more talent around him. Dez Bryant, I think that we've seen him mature. He's my 3. Brandon Marshall is my 4, and then I'm on the fence. I know I'm on the fence with a lot of this. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but I'm on the fence with Julio Jones and Denarius Thomas because there's only one ball, and there's a ton of talent on both the Atlanta Falcons and the Denver Broncos team, and both these guys can stretch the field for their quarterbacks. Both their quarterbacks have strong arms, but again, it's only one ball, so
I think with the addition of Wes Welker to the Broncos offense, that puts Demaryius Thomas at 6 for me, and I would go. And my Julio Jones is my number 5 because Roddy White's getting older. Julio Jones is getting better. Jones is my number 5. I've got Brandon Marshall at my number 2, but otherwise, same order.
You're loving him.
I think,
especially PPR, as we said, 188 targets and what do you say, 118 catches?
Yeah, a huge year. Let's do tight ends really quick, and then we'll get to reader questions.
You got it. Tight ends.
Jimmy Graham.
I think. I mean, let's face it. Look, I think it's Jimmy Graham, and then everybody else,
and then free agents.
and I think it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
With Rob Gronkowski, you've got to worry about health.
Yep.
With Tony Gonzalez, you've got to worry about age and the fact that they've added more talent with Steven Jackson.
He
in that
turned
backfield.
70 this season.
Jason Witten is always solid.
Yeah.
But he doesn't score touchdowns. He puts up a ton of yards.
Dez Bryant is that touchdown scoring machine for the Cowboys now.
Again, another great tight end in regard to PPR because he gets so many catches and he puts up so many yards, but he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. For whatever reason, Tony Romo does not find him in the end zone. And last but not least, Vernon Davis. I think this is the year that Vernon Davis and Colin Kaepernick, whether they have to room together, hang out, go to the movies, play spades, whatever it is, they need to get on the same page and develop chemistry.
Such a physical beast, and he'll have a huge game and then just disappear.
But Colin Kaepernick has to utilize him.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a matter of Vernon Davis's ability because he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He gets separation. He's open a lot of times. When you go back to see the film, he's like, "Hey, I was open over here. Why don't you look for me?"
Yeah.
I think it's Colin Kaepernick and him have to develop that chemistry.
The only tight end I'd add to that discussion is Dennis Pitta. I think he's going to emerge as a top 5 tight end and pretty reliable. He was amazing in the playoffs this past year, and just became more and more consistent. As Joe Flacco continues to mature, I'm going to be targeting Dennis Pitta.
That's fair. I think that's a good one. Yeah. My sleeper is Jared Cook. with the St. Louis Rams. I
Okay.
think he comes over. He has a better quarterback. He's in a better system. I think Fisher's going to utilize him a lot better than the way he was utilized, and he's on a fast track. He's a sleeper for me.
All right, let's go to reader mail, the troll bag. We got a couple questions from Twitter friends, and first off, Emil hit us up and said, will Andy Dalton make the next step in being a viable option at quarterback with all the weapons added this offseason? And I think by weapons, he means the draft. Tyler Eifert?
Yeah.
You say Eifert, I say Eifert.
I say tomato, you say tomato.
The Notre Dame tight end taken in the first round, and then Giovanni Bernard and taken in the second round is definitely an upgrade at running back for them.
Yeah, I think they add to the offense. Obviously, a quarterback cannot have enough weapons.
Yeah.
But we talked about it before when we were talking about wide receivers and A.J. Green. This is the year that I think Andy Dalton needs to step up, and I'm hoping that he does.
Yeah, I think that the odd thing for me is that I think that there's some Bengals worth targeting. Obviously, A.J. Green, Mohamed Sanu was playing really well before the stress fracture ended his season, and I will even probably target Giovanni Bernard in later rounds. But at the same time, I'm not dying to get Andy Dalton on my team.
No, I think he's a solid number 2 quarterback that maybe you take an investment in.
Yeah.
Maybe you draft a little bit sooner with a number 2 quarterback than normal and see what happens.
Yeah. So I mean, the only reason I'm taking Andy Dalton at number 1 is because I don't get any of the guys that I targeted that I wanted for a QB1. So there you go, Emil. So don't count on it, pal. Next question. Andrew says, which rookie running back will be the most useful? So who do you think? Le'Veon Bell in Pittsburgh? Monty Ball?
Monty Ball.
Yeah,
Come on.
Monty Ball.
I mean, look, Willis McGahee is a very dear friend of mine. Covered him when he was at the University of Miami. Covered him when he was with the Baltimore Ravens. Sad to see the Denver Broncos cut him and let him go. He's a free agent right now. But I think it screams what the future is with Monty Ball. Mm-hmm. And granted, they have Ronnie Hillman there. I think that they're going to utilize Ronnie Hillman more so. This is his second year.
What happened to Noshawn?
He's there, but he's
I saw something that he was basically out, or something happened with him. But anyway.
Well, he's injured. He's coming back off of injury. But I think this is the year for Ball. Now, keep in mind, is he going to put up a ton of yards? I don't think so, because that's going to be like a high flying passing offense.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to get a ton of touchdowns.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if you're in a touchdown, like a high touchdown league, you definitely want Ball.
I think he's without a question the rookie to target. Le'Veon Bell in Pittsburgh. Not guaranteed the job.
No, it's going to have to compete in camp.
Yeah.
So.
And then
the headache in Green Bay.
Jonathan Franklin and Eddie Lacy.
Yeah. I'll take Lacy. You could take Franklin, and we'll see how we do.
I think Franklin he's the guy that's your kind of Ray Rice prototype. He's going to be catching passes. He's a speedier guy. Eddie Lacy is going to get the garbage touchdowns from the line. He's the power running back. I don't want either of them.
But again, don't you feel it's a pass-happy offense? It's Aaron Rodgers. He's got a ton of weapons. I think Randall Cobb's going to have a huge year. Jordy Nelson, he gets in that red zone. Oh, come on, Lacy.
Yeah.
So I'd rather take, out of those two, I'm going to draft Lacy before Franklin.
Yeah, maybe Franklin at a PPR, but otherwise, not the headache that I want. What about rookie wide receivers? Tavon Austin, I know that you're big on.
Yeah.
I don't see
anybody
else.
I love him, though. I love him.
I hate the fact that the Seahawks are going to have to face him twice a year.
I got him last night in my mock draft, and I want to say that I got him in the 7th round.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's nice.
I know.
I think that's great value. I think 6th or 7th round is completely reasonable for him. The only other wide receiver, rookie wideout that I've heard anybody talk about is Cordarrelle Patterson, but the kind of consensus on him is he doesn't have the route running or the hands to be an impact on fantasy team.
I heard he's a phenomenal athlete. I heard his pro day, he was just scouts, their jaws were on the floor, really, but having a hard time digesting the offensive playbook and understanding route running, and
he needs some seasoning. Don't bother drafting him this year. He'll if he plays
now if you're in a keeper league. Maybe.
Yeah, late round flyer.
And you stash them, you store them away. You never know.
I always get frustrated by those guys, the late round pickups that I think I'm going to keep for my keeper league, and then come week 4 or 5, they haven't gotten a single touch, and I need room on my bench because the bye week start. I'm like,
then what do you do?
Not keeping this guy.
Right. How many keeper leagues do you you said you play in about 4 or 5 leagues?
I'm in 4 leagues.
Okay.
2 of them are keeper leagues.
Okay. What do you enjoy more? Do you the keeper, the auction, or the regular snake draft?
I like the regular snake draft because I'm lazy. The auction league by all
Call it how it is.
The auction league by all accounts involves more strategy.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
more difficult. It's, I guess, more rewarding for people who enjoy it. I am not about thinking that much.
Okay.
I just want the guys. Hey, it's my turn. All right, I'm gonna take a guy.
I love auction.
I'm sure.
And it's hard. I think it's kind of hard. You really can't find a lot of people who want to participate in auction leagues. But you're right. It takes a lot of time. There's strategy involved, and then you've got to do the math.
Yeah. Talk to me about free agents. Which free agents are going to make huge impacts? Obviously, there's people have question marks about Percy Harvin. How's he going to be used in the Seahawks
I have
offense?
no question marks. I think Percy Harvin is going to be phenomenal.
Another guy
this
you
year.
got in your mock draft
Yeah.
last
And by
night.
the way, he plays for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. Big smile on your face.
But you picked him up.
Believe. I'm going to get you a shirt that says "Believe" with Seahawks in the back or something like that.
I'm just going to fingers crossed. As a Seahawks fan, the only thing you're entitled to is disappointment. That's what I've learned from a lifetime of cheering for Seattle teams.
I feel, look, Christian Ponder does nothing for me. I'm
Nope.
sorry. Sam, I apologize. But he's got a better quarterback in Russell Wilson. He's in a West Coast offense. You've got a running game. As I said, I said I was going to use this phrase a lot today, and that is defenses have to play honest. Percy Harvin is going to I think he's going to absolutely explode. I think the relationship between him and Russell Wilson is going to be phenomenal.
Fingers crossed. So
Yeah.
you got him at the end of the second round last night.
Yes.
You think that's? I think probably in the 20. I don't think I'd target him at like 24. I think more like 29 to 30 is where I want to get him.
I drafted first. I had Adrian Peterson.
Hobbs.
Then, of course, the snake draft. I had to
Back at
I could have
24,
read War and Peace by the time it got back to me.
Yeah.
And then I did Peyton Manning and Percy Harvin.
Not bad. Not
Yeah.
bad. I like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 25, especially when you're on that end of the draft, when you got those two picks back to back, and you're just like, I want this guy. He's not. It's six picks, 8 picks earlier. He's not going to be available at the end of this round. I've got to take him now.
Also, I like picking first. I like picking first or last because it gives you that time to really do your research and be ready, as opposed to being in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like you pick and then it comes back to you and you really don't have a lot of time to digest what everybody else has done. I like that first and last spot.
They've done the research statistically. If for example, a 12-team league, the teams that pick first and second and 11th and 12th do better than all the picks in between.
There you go.
So that's where to go for. What about Percy Harvin? What about this whole Danny Amendola versus Wes Welker thing? Who's going to have the bigger year?
That's a great question. Concerns for both. Number one, first and foremost, with Wes Welker, with the Denver Broncos, again, so many targets, so many people to go to, only one ball. Although Peyton Manning loves his slot receiver, and Wes Welker runs great routes.
Yep.
The timing between him and Peyton Manning are going to be great. So PPR, I love it. But I think believe it or not, I think Danny Amendola is going to have a better season than Wes Welker, just because it's depleted there now. Whether it's injury or players being arrested, whatever the case, Tom Brady's going to have a go-to person. And it's gonna be Danny Amendola. I think I would take Danny Amendola over Wes Welker. I'm probably not the norm.
Who are the Patriots wideouts split end? They're talking about
Michael Jenkins. And they drafted they drafted 2 guys. One guy from Marshall, and I apologize, I don't have their names right now. But
really
they have 2 rookies that they drafted.
Yeah.
Michael Jenkins and Danny Amendola. You're hoping that Gronk is healthy. Now, we haven't talked about Tebow. Should we talk about Tebow?
I'll say this.
Or should we save that for another show?
I would be happy to use my 15th round draft pick on Tebow just in case, because he's gonna get reps at tight end.
We don't even know if he's gonna make the team, man.
We'll know more come training camp.
See, this is my thing with Tebow. He wants to be a quarterback. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He's not going to be at Tom Brady.
You know what? I want to be a quarterback, but I'm not fooling myself.
And he's not going to beat out Mallet either.
No.
So if I'm the Tebow camp, I'm saying to him, listen, Gronk's not healthy. Aaron Hernandez is like in a 2x2 cell. Mm-hmm. This is a huge opportunity for you. Yes, they have Jake Ballard, who made his way over there from the New York Giants, but this is a huge opportunity for you. Little nugget for you: the men's U.S. rugby team contacted Tim Tebow. Why are you laughing? They wanted Tim Tebow to play for the United States in the Olympics in rugby.
He's perfect for rugby.
But because he's such a great athlete.
Yeah.
Why not play that kind of halfback, H-back, running back / tight end position for Tom Brady and the Patriots?
I think he should.
Yeah.
2 more guys I want to talk about. Brandon Myers, he addition to the Giants. They needed a tight end after losing Martellus Bennett. How do you're a Giants person, obviously.
I'm a Giants person.
You're a Giants person, broadcaster person.
No, we could go with person. I'm a Giants person.
Brandon Myers obviously had a great season by Oakland Raiders standards.
Yeah.
One of the few bright spots on a direct team. What do you think his impact in New York's going to be?
I think it's going to be great for a few reasons. Number one, Kevin Gilbride is the offensive coordinator. His system, his style, he loves the middle of the field. You see Victor Cruz have such success because the middle of the field is open, because you've got so many teams who eye Hakeem Nicks as that wideout, and they bring in Louis Murphy. They bring in Louis Murphy from the Oakland Raiders as well, and he's a speedster. So they're hoping that Louis Murphy could fill that void that was not filled last year with Mario Manningham, who's now with the San Francisco 49ers. So they're hoping that he could stretch the field. So now you've got him, you've got Hakeem Nicks, the middle of the field is going to be wide open. And the thing with Myers, he's a horrible blocking tight end. Okay, but you know what? We knew that going in. So the fact that the Giants went out and brought him in, they must be thinking pass happy. They must already have him in their scheme as a receiving tight end. And I love it. Now, is this a guy you want to go draft as your number one tight end? No, but this is a great number two, like we talked about Andy Dalton. This is a great number two. Maybe you reach for him a little bit.
After you've already locked up one tight end.
And then you sit and you see how it develops for Myers, and he might be something really fantastic.
All right.
So I do. I like Myers. I think this system is going to fit him. And Eli Manning, Carson Palmer, Eli Manning, Carson Palmer, really? Okay.
You're getting an upgrade with Eli.
Okay.
And then the last big free agent signing that I want to talk about is Mike Wallace, new arrival in Miami. And Ryan Tannehill played a lot better than I expected last year, but he's obviously not Ben Roethlisberger.
No, Ben Roethlisberger can throw the ball 90 yards like that, like just a flick of the wrist. And that's what Mike Wallace brings to an offense. There's two things I'm concerned about with Mike Wallace playing for the Miami Dolphins. That's number one. I don't know if Ryan Tannehill has the arm that Ben Roethlisberger has, that he can throw the ball downfield as fast as Mike Wallace is. And number two, the offense that they play in Miami, it's just they don't go deep. They don't take chances. They don't go deep often.
Yeah, you get the guys who had an impact are Devon Bess and
Brian Hartline.
Yeah, Brian Hartline. It's not these guys that are speedsters like Wallace. And I don't want to.
But they paid him at $12 million a year.
I don't want to generalize too much, but it seems to me for every time I watched Mike Wallace that his ability, like every touchdown he scored or every big play he made was just a deep bomb where he had 5 yards of separation. His skill set is not in sharp route running and making difficult catches. It's blazing past everybody.
He's the kind of guy that you put wide out and you see that maybe a corner's going man on man, safety might be cheating somewhere else, and you look at him, you tap your helmet, he takes off and you throw the ball. Again, how often is that going to happen? And does Ryan Tannehill have the kind of arm to make that happen? That's my concern there.
I am not going to be targeting Mike Wallace.
No.
I'm going to hope that if I'm drafting him, it's because he falls to me and I'm like, I better take him.
Really quick, because I know that we're about to close out this fantastic show. Two wide receivers that I really am excited to see this season. One is Larry Fitzgerald. We didn't even bring him up until now.
Oh, yeah.
He does have Carson Palmer now.
I remember Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, don't you remember him?
Who, when he has someone who can throw him the ball, is like basically the best wide receiver on the planet.
Neither of us had him in our top 5.
No.
Nobody's really talking about him. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. I think this very well could be the season for Larry Fitzgerald, number one. And number two, I love Randall Cobb. Love, Randall Cobb. Last year, I loved Brandon Lloyd, and he failed me miserably. Okay, this is the year for Randall Cobb, and I'm hoping that I'm spot on with this.
With the departure of Greg Jennings to the Vikings, of course, he kind of becomes the number one. I guess Jordy Nelson is technically the number one there.
He is, but I still think Randall Cobb's a better wide receiver.
I think he's going to have that breakout season.
Yeah.
And when you've got Aaron Rodgers throwing it to you, you're going to target those great offenses. Like when in doubt, you've got two players that are kind of equal talent. Take the guy in the better offense. It's just it should be natural to you. Close things up.
Okay.
Relax a little bit. Fumbler is our segment where we look at what's big on the internet. And I don't know if you saw this. They put the Mark Sanchez's famous butt fumble to old-timey.
I heard about it. I have not seen it yet.
We're going to watch it right now.
Let's.
Yeah. Could use grainier footage.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
Okay. Now, let's go one step further. Not only is this butt fumble just embarrassing and probably will stay with him for the rest of his career, and we'll probably see this video at least 1 million times in our lifetime, but what about him in Napa dancing with the girls with his butt, like naked with his butt hanging out? Like, at what point in time do you kind of say to yourself, this is inappropriate behavior. I'm not going to allow somebody with a video camera videotape me dancing around with my butt hanging out. And I'm really competing. They went out. They drafted Geno Smith. This is a competition. There's guys in that Jets locker room, Matt, who don't believe in him.
Well, with good reason. But I think if what's going through Mark Sanchez's brain is that he's paid this year regardless, and he has a limited window to enjoy his life. So he's going to gallivant around with whatever fine-looking women happen to come across his path. And he realized, I think that deep inside he probably realizes that it's not going to happen for him. So he's going to enjoy his time in the New York City metropolitan area, take in some Broadway shows, enjoy the company of young women while he can.
He actually goes to Justin Bieber concerts and not so much Broadway.
Really?
But, yeah.
Because in GQ he said that he liked the Broadway shows.
Oh, because I know he's been to a few Justin Bieber. But
wow,
but
that's and we wonder why the Jets locker room doesn't trust him.
But in all seriousness, I don't think anyone is going to draft Mark Sanchez. I do believe, I was hoping that David Garrard would be the starting quarterback for them going into the season. I do too. I love him. I think he's fantastic. But he's retired now because of his knee. I do believe Mark Sanchez starts off as the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at like maybe game 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think Geno Smith then steps in, and it's the Geno Smith era. Mark Sanchez becomes a backup somewhere for the rest of his life.
I do think for the rest of his life. He becomes Matt Leinart. USC.
Yeah, what's up with USC quarterbacks?
Pete Carroll. It's his fault. I love you, Pete. Talk to you soon.
And you're a Seattle fan.
Thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up. Thanks so much. Anita Marks is her name. Follow her on Twitter at Anita Marks. And of course, you can catch her on Saturdays and Sundays on NBC Sports Radio. And look for her this fall across various media as part of the Giants broadcast team.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.